Minute, so
Sure.
okay. Hi, friends.
Tony TV is already hanging out, and so is Cynthia Rice.
Yeah, I saw Tony like when he first got on. All right, let's. Hello, friends. Welcome to the ladies' room.
Oh, wow.
How is everybody?
Hi,
So,
Cynthia.
not.
Oh,
I mean, who's on?
Tony's here.
Cynthia.
Cynthia's here.
So, Deidre is not in today. She has storms in Texas, so we hope everything works out. We have Farmley with us today, one
Hi,
of our
guys.
new ladies for the ladies' room. So a little verdict came down. I don't know if you all heard about that yet.
We will let her have a little introduction since she's our new gal. Before we dive into, I know we're so excited.
I got.
We'll get to that. My name
So
is
what do you want?
Erica Farmley.
Yeah.
If you're in the Discord, 41 years old, perimenopausal woman, just here to chat about shit and get it done. And it's nice to be a lady and it's nice to be invited. So let's do this.
Definitely.
Perfect.
And we're excited to have our first guest because we're hoping to change people in and out as we can. We just finally had an opportunity.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for
I'm
being
free
here and
after
ready to
3:30
rock.
Pacific.
Yeah.
So anything.
Yeah. So today we're gonna be talking a little bit about that verdict that I'm sure none of you have heard about yet. And we're gonna talk about Project 2025 and how it affects women and generally everybody in the country is touched by it somehow. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But first, what do you think about the verdict?
I have my celebratory drink, Dr. Pepper with cherry whiskey.
I got my usual Monster.
I can't drink.
I have a joke, but it's inappropriate. Is it too early? It's only 8:02. I'll keep it for later. I'll keep it. Okay.
Save it for later. Okay.
Or I don't know. It's fine.
Well, no, tell it. Go for it.
Okay. So I was watching Minus Touch Network, and Ben was reading the verdict, and he said guilty 34 times. And my next thought was, oh my God, half of America is like so wet right now.
Yeah, no,
Derek
it was
sitting
good
outside.
to.
But you know it's true. You know it's true.
It is true. Derek was watching it outside. We had the grandbaby, and he's like,
Yeah.
I've got half a chub. And I'm like, ew. The neighborhood did not need to hear that. But
No.
I'm so
I'm gonna high five him through the screen.
That's right.
My
Pass
husband
it to him.
my husband IMs me because we work for the same company, but in a different department. And he was just like, today is a lovely day, isn't it? The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. I'm just like, yes, let's go. I like to see that energy.
Yes.
When it was hard because since we had the grandbaby right as the verdict was coming down, and then for like an hour after, we couldn't really like talk openly about it, because all the things we wanted to say were completely inappropriate for the 5-year-old, and I don't need her repeating them. But yeah, there was some dancing afterwards.
I was just glad to see some level of accountability. Like he's escaped accountability for literally everything for decades. Like probably most of his life, he's never been held accountable. I mean, maybe civilly, but never like criminally for all the bullshit he's pulled. Like if it was any one of us, actually around the same time, one of those Massachusetts National Guard troops, I guess, I'm not sure really what you call them, got arrested for the same crime, divulging secrets. And within like 2 months, dude was found guilty in prison now for disclosing classified, whatever the charge is.
Yeah, Jack Teixeira.
Mhm.
And like people stormed his house to arrest him. So like they didn't have anybody like contact 2 days ahead of time. Hey, now we're the FBI and we're gonna come search your home, giving you 48 hours to hide everything. Like nobody gets that.
He always
So,
complains
like,
about a two-tier justice system, but he's always the one that has profited from that.
Yep. I mean, this dude has been running rampant in the state of New York for over 40 years. And it goes way back. Like, if we were listening in book club about Mary Trump and about like how his family has been a part of the New York ecosphere for like decades. And and it goes back way back to like his dad and the way that he established his businesses. And Donald Trump squandered his money and he just made a mockery of his daddy. Like it's just bullshit what he put the whole state of New York through. And a majority of freaking Long Island is for this dude. I'm like, what the heck?
see, I'm from Long Island, and like I remember growing up and hearing that he was like, because even though it's like the 1980s, I still am aware of headlines, because my parents were watching news and whatnot. Cynthia raised a really good point that I forgot the name of that prosecutor, the prosecutor before Alvin Bragg. He was ready to try him, but like Cy Vance said no and let him slide over it. So he almost did escape prosecution. And, I forgot, it was by Maggie Hagerman, but he's been like this his whole life. Like he'll just give a campaign contribution, like an insane check and all of a sudden charges go away. Like anytime anybody's gotten the stones to like even come close to charging him or holding him accountable, he'll find a way to like get them to drop it. And so,
well, and anybody who's not part of the book club, now is a great time because the Mary Trump book is fire. And listening to it like constantly, Derek and I were doing the aha because he's just like his daddy, trying to be the big bad dude in the room that doesn't give a F about anybody and treating everybody like crap. I mean, now when I think about Eric and Don Jr. and the way they act, I'm like, they're playing the same game that Donald and I forgot her dad's name. I'm sorry. Fred. Had to play, where they're trying to curry his favor and nothing they do is good enough. And the difference is Donald was the one that was able to win over dad's favor by being a terrible human being.
And like one thing that I remember reading back in the day, like over like 15 years ago, is when Don Jr. was in college and Trump went to go visit him. He was with his friends and like he was having a great time being a normal human being, because at one point Don Jr. and Eric were very normal human beings outside of the purview of their dad. So one story is that Eric, Don Jr. was in his dorm room having fun with his roommates or whatever, the flatmates that he was. And then all of a sudden, like Trump came and visited him, and like Don Jr. got like very stoic all of a sudden, and like he was like exceptionally grown, like uncomfortable from his dad's presence. And his dad was just like, I'm gonna need you to put on a suit and get outside now. And Don Jr. was just mortified because he did that in front of his flatmates.
Did he slap him?
I think when he was in college or something of the like. But I remember listening.
Yeah, because they were going to go to a baseball game, but he wasn't dressed in a suit. He was in like a polo and like khakis. His dad slapped the shit out of him in front of his friends, embarrassed the fuck out of him.
You heard the same story. That's the story that, yeah, exactly. So there, honestly, with a complete narcissist as a parent, no wonder why they're so fucked up. as
Exactly.
people. Like it makes complete sense. And when you are raised in a narcissistic household, you take on the attributes of that narcissism, if not even more or even less, and then you act out like throughout your life. It is very common for people to do that. But anyway, I digress. But anyway.
Well, and we're seeing
Dr. Bandy
generation after generation of it going. I mean, we saw it with Trump's dad, and now with Trump, and now with his kids passing on that. And they talked about it. She talked about it in the book too, the lack of affection. Mom took care of the girls, but left dad to take care of the boys. They never had any real affection or guidance or anything. It was always just what they did wrong. There was never any support or love.
That means they never got any emotional education. They don't know how to
Exactly.
deal with big, difficult feelings.
That's exactly like how like, and I hate to say it, but like that's how a lot of people are raised, though, especially people raised from like Gen Xers and into like that were raised by boomers. And unfortunately, like people in like who are my age, like Zennial, older millennials, took the brunt of that shit.
Yeah.
We did. And
we were the lazy ones that were somehow ruining, everything with our laziness because we were lazy
and too sensitive, constantly being told that you're too
emotional.
Oh,
we're so offended.
Yeah. Thunderbird has a really good point. It's not completely related, but it's a good thing to note. Federalist Society tied to fascist cult Opus Dei, which is where Amy Coney Barrett is derived from, which created in 1928 under fascist dictator Francisco Franco of Spain, and now U.S. Supreme Court is controlled by these fascists. A lot of the Federalist Society gets their people appointed, and somebody I think it was Brian Tyler Cohen who pointed this out. If Trump wins, he potentially has the potential to nominate 3 more justices,
and that's making the entire bullshit ever.
And that's the end of American democracy.
And then
rule of law and the checks and balances, everything.
And even if we can survive Trump and survive a whole bunch of other stresses, we cannot survive decades with a Supreme Court that's
anti-woman, anti-rights, anti-science, anti-logic,
anti-gun regulations,
anti-compassion. I mean, the fuck.
Yeah, we're in a world of hurt if he gets elected. We are in a world of hurt, guys, and I'm talking like we're going back to 1930s, fucking like Hitler-esque.
And I'm not being an alarmist by stating this. Like Trump has said he will instate the Insurrection Act of whenever to be able to declare martial law and send the military to cities that he deems unruly. He's wanting to be able to. So like if New York won't enforce certain laws, he's going to take the ability, because don't even think he cares about what Congress says at this point. He's going to take he'll allow the National Guard from Maryland to enforce laws in Virginia. So do you honestly think that's going to cause it's going to get ugly eventually, maybe not right away. And I'm not being an alarmist. That's just what's going to happen. Everybody think about a few steps ahead of what happens if something's enacted.
And
I wish I had the clip of him.
Because I was watching a clip of his campaign spokesperson, the newest blonde on Fox or something, and she was saying that in response to the people that ran the impeachment trials for Trump, her response was that the criminals who committed those acts against him would need to be punished. What was the crime that they did? They told the truth about Trump. So everybody that tells the truth about Trump is a criminal in his eyes. I mean, they're telling us right out loud. And we know it's true. They're not hiding it. They fucking hate us. And then all we can do is not shut up.
Yeah. And like the first person that Trump has his eyes on is Adam Schiff.
Exactly. He's still butthurt about it.
He was my representative before I moved, and I met him like on occasion. And he is one of the sweetest human beings on the face of the planet. And he's very, very knowledgeable and exceptionally approachable. So if you ever saw him and said hello, he would be very, very like welcoming to you. That's why I'm glad he's gonna be our new senator, because like he has the balls to go after what needs to get done. And I'm excited to vote for Adam Schiff again, because he was a very nice human being to me and my husband when we met him. So right on, right?
Well,
like
that's why it's so important, not just that we keep Trump from winning, but that we vote up and down the ballot, because it's going to, when they institute things at the lower levels, they bubble up. And when they set something in one state, it starts to migrate to other states. So we have to pay attention to all of the various races, not just take down the figurehead, but also the others that are endorsing the similar policies.
It goes all the way down to the school board, guys. Like Absolutely. Quite literally, like our school boards are being infiltrated by Moms for Liberty, and those women are a disgrace to public education, and they spit in the faces of public school teachers that are just trying to hold it together, for Christ's sakes. And I'm just like, come on, y'all, get it together.
Yeah, and they're against kids that are just trying to be themselves and be in a safe space where they can learn. And, you know, maybe not starve during the day, maybe have some free lunch.
When they're removing all of the positive safety nets that schools can provide, like the one meal a day that they may be guaranteed, access to a counselor, access to an adult who may be willing to speak to them and not yell at them and they can actually talk to, and they're making it where they don't have anywhere safe to go to. And then there was a situation going on here. It's graduation night in our local little rural school, and there was a young gentleman in 2022 that took his own life, and the school is refusing at the graduation ceremony. This would have been his year, to do anything to speak. Like, this is an opportunity to say, hey, we love you, and we don't want any of you to ever feel so alone. We don't want any of you to ever feel, you know, and we don't want another family to go through what this family's gone through. You know, we're here for you. We want to support you. We need to be able to talk to one another. And instead, they just don't want to talk about it at all. And that's not going to solve the problem. Nope. And it's not honoring his life or his family's loss. And it's sad.
Yeah, that is very tragic, because I know that there are many kids that have, you know, probably committed suicide. Sorry, I don't mean to say that. I should say like a different word, because I know that can be filtered, but have ended their lives because of one thing. And it goes to parenting. 100%. Because the kids who bully the person who ended their life were raised by complete idiots and violent people. So the kids who bully take it out on other innocent people.
Yeah.
And it goes to parenting, y'all. This is why I don't have kids. And I don't mean to like bemoan parenting, but do a better goddamn job of raising your kids to not be assholes and jerks. seriously, because it can
When they're going to
save
mirror what
somebody
they're
else's
seeing
life.
at home too. Because Amy makes the comment that her family were her bullies. When you're growing up in that environment, that's the only response you know. And so how are you going to break that cycle if you don't have access to better examples and ways out of that generational trauma?
I gotta show you guys something real quick that I found. So this is part of Project 2025 directly from it. This is on page 303 for any trolls that are like, it doesn't actually say that. They want to reject efforts to create universal free school meals. I'm not really sure what that program is, but it's USDA should not provide meals to students during the summer unless students are taking summer school classes, which a lot of parents like rely on during the summer. So this all starts talking about getting rid of free school lunch. That for some reason upsets conservatives so damn much, like kids eating. If you knew how little money is spent on kids meals, it's like astounding. And it helped, like my daughter's school has had free, I don't know why she has free lunch, but she had free lunch last year. And, it really is a big, like savings. It's at least like $300 or $400 a year of school meals if she's going to eat there every day. So, yeah, I just wanted to show that.
I've got 3 teenagers in middle school. I am so thankful for reduced lunch and free meals because we qualify for that too.
Seriously,
help.
Like honestly, like, and it's so much less money to feed a child, and the result of having free lunch increases productivity and also allows children to learn more effectively. And we don't want stupid people roaming the planet. We need educated people. And like,
but
Darlene,
I think that's exactly what they're trying to do, though. Is if
that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Down and they leave them in scarcity mindset at all times. They can control them easier. And these people that are so pro-life and pro-birth, and yet once the child's born, they don't care if that child's getting fed. There's no reason in this country why our schools aren't providing universal free lunch to every single student, regardless of income. A, it reduces the stigma, and B, it guarantees a meal. And they could also stop. They keep decreasing the standards so that what counts as a healthy meal in schools now becomes more and more of a joke. They could do better to make sure the kids are getting at least one nutritious meal a day.
I just wanted to show the dumbing down of the nation in one section. This is just one part. Like the Project 2025 is almost 1,000 pages. And I can give you all the link to where it is if you want to read it for yourself. But basically, this is just one way that they're dumbing down the nation by prohibiting the use of a BA requirement in job descriptions. This is on page 596. So, like, it's one thing to they're getting their fingers. They're suggesting that the next president get his fingers in every little thing that the government has. And if you read quickly, Congress should prohibit the inclusion of a BA requirement in job descriptions for all private sector employees. Private sector. Congress isn't supposed to be touching private sector businesses and making laws that are it's they're not supposed
favor
to
one business above another. They're not supposed to show favoritism at all. It's supposed to be equal opportunities for free market essentially.
And they want to dismantle the Department of Education 100%. And I just feel like not only for inner cities, I also think that rural Americans would be severely harmed by it. And it makes me wonder if, like, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on behind closed doors that we don't know about. And it's time to, shine the sun on it, because the sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Yeah.
Truly.
And that's part of why this conversation was so important, because Project 2025 is fucking massive. And so if we can break it down into pieces and show people, yes, it really does say that, and this is the actual real world implications of that, maybe we can get people to pay attention. Talking about the school vouchers and dismantling the Department of Education, we live in a rural community, a very rural community. The entire county is, and they've closed a ton of schools and combined them and so forth, whatever. But like, if we did have a charter or voucher program, there's not another school for them to go to. Like, that's not an hour away. And there's no requirement that the charter school provide transportation. So I'm already poor. I'm trying to get my child educated so they maybe have better prospects in the future. And now, yes, I've gotten this thing, but that money for a voucher goes to the school. It doesn't go to the family. So how in the hell am I supposed to get my kid an hour away to school every day plus back? And, like, they don't consider that. And they don't want to do any kind of oversight over these charter schools. So who knows what they're even teaching kids, if they're teaching kids, because they're a profit driven entity. So it's to their advantage to hold kids back, so they keep having to go longer and pay more, but also teach them just what they want them to know, nothing more, because they have no incentive to make them be functioning members of society. They're just there to make money. It's just like our for-profit prison system. It's the same thing.
When you're dumber,
pipeline to prison program is what they want for poor people.
And that's what
so that they could create a hard labor force.
Exactly.
That's exactly what for-profit prisons will be after Project 2025 takes place. They will make a hard labor workforce.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to point out where
so scary, dude.
It's really fucking scary, and it's really scary for women, especially since they're criminalizing natural body functions, because abortions, miscarriages happen all the time. A miscarriage is a spontaneous abortion. They call it a miscarriage because it's a little softer to hear than spontaneous abortion. But there are states that are criminalizing it and making women felons for not saving the fetal tissue if, they miscarry into their toilet and don't realize and accidentally flush it. Crazy things. And taking away women's rights because, in many states, I imagine probably most, if not all, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but you lose your right to vote when you commit a felony. Mm-hmm. And they're real hell-bent on controlling women in Project 2025, and this is a big fucking part of it, because part of the goal is to repeal the 19th Amendment.
I just wanted to show why I put this up. This is where it basically kills all of charter, school choice and money going directly to charter schools. And as of now, it used to be there had to be an income cap, but people have found a way around it, or states have been letting people raising the income requirement for children. So basically what this ends up is that wealthy kids are getting this credit for private school. So it's gutting the public school. And oh, they brought me dinner. So basically, yeah, and so Congress should get involved and deregulate any program requirements. So that's just where page 347 over there is where it starts talking about that. And keep in mind when I'm posting, that's not the only part that often it taking away money out of the school system is just one chunk of why it's so dangerous. Like that's just one part that they talk about. I mean, like most chapters are at least 50 pages of bullshit.
Allison, there was one line in there too that's really important, and it basically said that the charter schools would more or less have control over their admissions processes. You know what that means? That means they can say, we don't allow brown people, we don't allow gay people, we don't allow poor people, we don't like your face, we don't like your family name, whatever. Like
religion.
It's elitism. They're encouraging elitism.
Oh, here we go for religion, provide robust protections for religious employers. So basically now, people can discriminate based on religion. I have a feeling that if you're Muslim and don't want to serve somebody, it's way worse than if you're a Christian and don't want to serve something because of your religious beliefs. So that's one area.
The Hobby Lobby case a couple of years ago.
I was just going to say Hobby Lobby.
I still will not go anywhere near one. That they would not provide female medical. They wouldn't let their insurance be used for birth control and other purposes like that. And as we've talked about on here and in other places, A, your doctor chooses to put you on those things for a variety of reasons. And B, you're providing insurance. You're not making decisions for me, Mr. Employer. So fuck off.
Yeah.
I mean, birth control isn't just used to prevent pregnancies. I've had to be on it several times because of other female issues. And it helped control my hormones. And I'm trying to out a different pill because I have perimenopause symptoms now. I mean, it seriously, you can be on birth control up until 55 through menopause, guys. And it's a way to help us women just survive, because I don't think men truly know the disaster that happens down south during that time of the week. It feels like a fucking dump truck came by and then knocked me out again. And then the depression, the anxiety, and just the overall melees that my body feels for 2 weeks out of the year. I mean, out of the month. Once for ovulation and once for the actual cycle. And men are so fucking clueless. Sorry, guys, but you don't know anything. And I contest that men should never be able to touch women's healthcare decisions at all.
Yeah.
And that's what Project 2025 does. Men are writing this fucking disaster of like a book saying women should not exist.
Well, absolutely they're targeting women, but they're targeting anyone that is not a white Christian affluent man. And that's most of us, to be frank. Like, it's bullshit. Like, we're back to being the plebes.
It's fucking hard being a woman nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, I have less rights than I did 4 years ago.
Well, and here's the thing. Your corpse has more rights than you at this moment, because they can't just take your organs when you die. You have to have that in writing, or your legal power of attorney can make that decision.
Donor card.
But they don't have to. I mean, there's states that are keeping, Allison, we were talking about this earlier about the pregnancy registries and all that kind of stuff that they're trying to do. And it's effing insane. And and sorry to bring this up, but one of the things that the pregnancy registries is going to catch is these very young girls who are pregnant, and not because they had a consensual relationship with a buddy. And are they going to go after those people who are responsible for that little girl getting pregnant? Or are they just going to be excited that they have another good little worker cooking in the oven? Like, that's bullshit.
The latter, dude. The latter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do you think they're loosening child labor laws and trying to close schools or make them go down to 4 days a week like they do? I think lot of schools in Alaska do that now because they just don't have the funding because the GOP has stripped as much away as they could. That's the goal.
That's why they're so
They don't want you
anti-union,
educated. Yeah. They want you
They'll make it much
that's part of the
easier. They're going to
anti-union
try
thing.
again. They're just trying to. We're too educated. Most of us, even the dumbest person, is too educated for a full-on coup to have worked in during January 6th. But now they're trying to find ways to get rid of any opportunities for college. Like, I got to find that screenshot that I had of ways they're dismantling student loan programs, getting rid of forgiveness. In some states, or it might be a federal law, but they want to get rid of any program that gives loan forgiveness to students. So if you work in the public sector for 10, 15 years, a lot of times your student loans are forgiven if under certain circumstances. But I mean, and this is before Biden started with his whole student loan forgiveness programs. But that's
all your social workers, all your teachers, all your librarians. These are low paid employees, predominantly female, who bust their fucking asses because they care. Because it's purely for the passion. It is not for the money or the fame, because you ain't getting it. It's a hell of a lot of stress. And the only perk, other than knowing that you're doing something valuable, is that maybe your student loans will disappear after 10 years. Maybe. If you fill out the paperwork right and can afford to hire a lawyer to do it for you. But that's it.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm $125,000 in debt for student loans to be a librarian, and I've been paying on my student loans for 20 years, and I still owe $125,000, have not touched the principal, and I have enough years in public service between housing and libraries, but I have not paid enough years consecutively because they kept selling off parts of my loans to other people, and I kept having to reconsolidate.
That's annoying. Yeah. They want to strip any
every
breaks.
trick they can play.
They want to strip.
They can't find qualified teachers. This is why.
And this is why, but they don't want qualified teachers.
Yeah.
They don't want qualified teachers. They want to dumb. Right now, they want the nation dumb so that they can get their Christo-fascist state like into play. Really quick, I just want, when you go to the Project 2025, like the document website, and I put it in the chat, it's really easy. Like, you don't have to read the whole damn document to like really understand what it says and to show other people in whatever way you need to, either make a meme or talk to somebody, about it, because, hold on, let me get to the table of contents. So like, it'll link you to specific, and they do a really good job of breaking where different topics are categorized. And if you have the PDF open, you can keyword search for different terms, like, abortion. You can see where it talks about specific topics. So you don't have to necessarily read the whole document to be aware of what's going on. You just have to, find the categories that you care about or that you've heard something about, because we need to win this election. Like, we need, like, there is nothing, the world needs us to win this election. So
100%.
Our planet needs us to win this election.
And
the planet needs us.
Going back to the education thing real quick, just to touch base. They want to dismantle the structure of public education and replace it with PragerU bullshit.
In Hillsdale College, that they're linked with PragerU.
Oh yeah. And a lot of I'm going to bring in the IBLP and the crazy religions that like the Duggar family are a part of, but like freaking they don't believe in like a standard public education. And there is also another Fundy family by the name of the Rodriguezes, and they are basically Duggar, but poorer. Basically, they're the poor style Duggars, and
there are like 11 of them living in a tour bus.
No,
like a baby in a cage.
No. But they're based out of Ohio, and this family literally, one of the kids allegedly, and I'm just going to say allegedly, was too undereducated to get a basic job. And that's exactly what non-structured homeschooling does to people. Like literally, like, and I don't mince these words lightly. Unstructured homeschooling that are through religious organizations specifically, they do not adhere to a state standard of education. They don't. And that has to change.
And each state standards are different. And some of the states, I mean, I won't name them. We all know who
basically
they are.
They're going to gut also the EEO office, equal opportunities for is particularly labor. But basically, if there's, I don't know why it just didn't say we're going to get rid of all discrimination laws. So they say it's for limiting the government's hand in regulations, but it's really so employers can be openly racist and not suffer consequences. Like, people not, how sometimes there's a campaign like this guy owns this and when people have disgusting behavior and it gets crowdsourced, like this guy has a business and his business flops because he was an asshole, they want to make that illegal. So and it's like, this is exactly what censorship is. Like, if you feel like a law is going to take away, another group of people will not be able to do something, you might be, trying to take somebody's rights away, like for trolls,
So is this like a Jeff Foxworthy spinoff of You Might Be a Nazi If? Kind of.
Yes.
Skip was mentioning that Ohio got busted with a Nazi homeschooling ring. Oh. And I still think that Ohio and Florida and Arkansas are ground zeros for this type of homeschooling education.
Yeah.
100%.
Zuni makes a really good point. So we know all this. What can the average person do with it? And the most valuable thing you can do is talk to the people in your circle. Tony talks about this all the time. Derek's far more social than I am. He actually leaves the house. And when he goes on his little parades of the neighborhood, he'll randomly talk to people. And he's told you guys before that he's come across 2 or 3 women who had no idea that Roe was overturned. Well, it just happened again yesterday. Another woman and she's not stupid, who didn't realize it. And again, she has a preteen daughter. So if anybody should care, she should really be up in her feels about this.
Oh, right? I bet she is panicking tonight.
Right. But that particular topic may not be beneficial, but if you talk to them about what they are passionate about, there's a good chance there's something in Project 2025, something in this whole plan that you can say, do you realize that this is in here? I mean, they're talking about Title IX. They're talking about HUD. So anyone that lives in low-income housing, which is predominantly single mothers and people of color, all of them are losing affordable housing if HUD is dismantled, or they're living in even worse slumlord situations than they probably already are, having worked in housing. They're going after everything. They're going after housing. They're going after education. They're going after your health care. They're going after election integrity. They're talking about everything, dismantling everything. So there's bound to be something that they're passionate about that Project 2025 is directly attacking, that you can get them to understand why you're so concerned.
It all connects and it's terrifying. And let me give you an example. They're trying to criminalize being unhoused. They are trying to dismantle HUD. They're trying to make people lose their homes and squeeze as many of them out as they can so they can criminalize them, put them in jail, put them to work in for-profit prisons. I mean, It's fucking bleak, but here we are, guys. That's their plan. It's terrifying. You know, and they want to throw you in jail if you have a miscarriage, make you a felon, put you to work, you know, or they want to grant personhood to fertilized embryos, eggs, so that maybe if you're a felon, maybe you don't deserve those eggs, and if they're would be brown baby eggs, maybe those go in the garbage. Maybe only the white, you know, ones from good Christian homes will be, you know, implanted for surrogacy that white Christian nationalist people will get to still enjoy. But the rest of us that want to build our families, or maybe had endometriosis and saved our eggs when we were young, or a million other different reasons, are trying to just have a family and live our own goddamn American dream.
It's truly despicable beyond reproach.
It is. It's inhumane. It's monstrous.
From someone I know very, very close to my heart. I'm not going to mention how this person is, you know, involved with my life, but this person spent over 8 years and over hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get pregnant. And she desperately wanted a child. Desperately. Had a really difficult time. And to find that her eggs were not valid or viable. Yeah, viable. And she got a donor egg. And luckily, this person has a beautiful, now bouncing baby boy who's going to be almost 2. And I can't imagine life without this little human being in my life. Even though I'm child free, I still like kids in doses. Don't get me wrong.
That's okay. That's okay.
I just really adore seeing the world through their eyes. And anyone who doesn't believe in choice it's baffling to me. Truly.
I know.
Some of these authors, now these people we don't know because they're really no names in the MAGA extremism movement, but where is Dr. Ben Carson of HUD? Ken Cuccinelli, he's the guy who wanted to cage up with Steve Miller and those awful Department of Homeland Security laws. He wasn't even really, technically he was illegally appointed too. Where is it? Where's it, the other one that I wanted to? Chris Miller, we know about that psycho. Peter Navarro.
Many of them. Mike Flynn.
Mike Flynn
This
is
is
in
like
here.
a list of every person I never want to meet in a dark alley because I would have to get, I would need bail money.
Here's some, I won't go through all of them, obviously, but you can do that on your own. But you should really see who's involved with all of this, and especially the authors. I mean, Peter Navarro technically has an economics degree, but he made up a citation for like something having to do with his master's. He made up a citation so it made his own economic theories look good. And the citation was an anagram of his name, and he's known for that. And if you ask like top scholars in economics, they say his, like, nobody actually believes that his shit will work. And people don't this is not public. Or I mean, it is public info, but a lot of people don't realize the farming industry almost crashed because of Peter Navarro and Trump. They almost went bankrupt because they decided to put those tariffs on China, and they're like, they're not going to tariff us back. And what do? They put tons of tariffs on our shit, which was soybeans and corn. and it fucked our farmers like up the ass, no lube, and they quietly bailed them out. And nobody brings up that point that his economic programs are so great. No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Anything that was great, you have to be rich to have enjoyed.
I mean, hell, that where did that tax cut go? To his freaking buddies. I mean, corporate America doesn't need any more freaking money, but they piled it in anyway. Ugh.
Well, and something that they've done brilliantly, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that sarcastically. Is
Cunningly.
that they have cunningly, they have convinced the people with the least that giving more money to the people with the most is somehow how this works.
Yeah, we're advantageous.
Trickle down doesn't work. Yeah, trickle down has never worked. I'll just say it. Fuck you, Ronald Reagan. And, can
we give him a quick Ronald Reagan 8-gun salute? Everybody throw him up. Beautiful. I love it. Great. Thanks.
Yeah. It almost always comes back to him and Roy Cohn. Like in the end, it's Ronald Reagan and Roy Cohn are.
I mean, they started this whole trickle down bullshit to begin with.
Exactly.
And, Reagan is just
the common person, the best winning argument that we can give them, no matter what their political stripe is, all of these things in Project 2025 allow corporations to abuse their workers more, pay them less, discriminate against them more, keep more profits for themselves, and fuck you over. And this is all designed to make rich people richer and hold you down. How are you okay with that?
And at will employment is going to be a thing. And I just feel like at will employment is bullshit. Because and then there's a lot of other barriers to employment that need to be addressed too, especially with women. Women get paid less. We get 78 cents on the dollar that every man makes. And then it's just it snowballs. And then some states still have rules that you can discriminate toward pregnant women. You can discriminate women for having their cycle. I know a couple of women that have told me stories about how their bosses are just oh, you can't use the bathroom, but I'm on my period and I need to do anything. I need to change my stuff. And they're just Dude, no, you can't leave.
Listen, here's the thing. If I'm old enough to die for my country, I'm old enough to take a piss at my discretion. Sorry, not sorry. I don't have to explain to you. I don't need your permission. If I'm old enough to carry a gun and shoot enemies of the state, I'm old enough to decide when I need to potty.
I'm just glad that the state of California does not have at-will employment. I don't think, but I'm sure that it's one of those states that doesn't. And there's a lot of employment protections here in this state. And I am grateful to be a Californian because I live in a blue state. I'm grateful, but the community that I live in is, purple in a way. And we're trying to get rid of our lone Republican representative here in Southern California, pretty much in LA County, at least. And it's just, what Amy is saying is just I worked as a cashier and it was torture with periods and colitis. I have IBS. I'm not afraid to say this. I've had instances when I was a cashier that I had to leave really abruptly. And I was just I can't control these things. And it's just it gets so, it's terrifying for people that work service jobs. And I was a retail worker for over 10 years, 15 years, actually, more than that. But seriously, anyway.
Yeah, I did a lot. I did a lot of retail and customer service. So I know.
Allison, didn't you mention that it's the workers' protections were one of the things that were in there. Dismantling a lot of the labor laws was part of 2025, Project 2025.
Yeah, I only had a few samples of the ridiculousness. Let me see if I can.
But I mean, these are all, I mean, gains that we've made in the last 150 years, mostly through unions and mostly through things like that of child labor laws, overtime, OSHA, benefits, various things like that. And they're rolling everything back they can so they can maximize profits. It's all about rich people getting richer.
This is just some excerpts about public education. No public education employee or contractor shall use a name to address a student other than the name listed on a student's birth certificate without the written permission of the student's parents or guardians, which I'm sure will get changed to
at all.
Get out the written permission of parents or guardians. So yeah, this is just how teachers are not supposed, reflecting on their job duties. You can't use pronouns, and that doesn't mean pronouns with necessarily with students. In the stuff that they have, like in the paragraph after this, it talks about if a teacher is a diehard Christian and she doesn't want to refer to a student's parent as it's the sex that they have transitioned to, they can legally be an asshole and not call them by the pronouns that they want
or
due to their religious protections. Part of it is in no public institution may require an education employee or contractor to use a pronoun that does not match a person's biological sex if contrary to the employee's contractor's religious or moral convictions. So that doesn't say students. That's anybody who wants a teacher to refer to them as something other than their sex assigned at birth.
So in regards to that Mighty, I had to search this story on my phone while you were talking about that. But in the state of California, proposed gender identity measure fails to qualify for the California ballot. An effort to get controversial measure about kids and gender on the fall ballot has failed to garner enough support. A group called Protect Kids California wanted to require schools to notify parents if their kids use a different name or pronoun on campus, and to limit transgender youth care, but they needed to get 500,000 signatures to qualify. They said that they got 400,000 signatures, however, failed to get that 500,000 mark. And I'm just grateful. This came from Spectrum News, by the way. So anyway, there you go.
I mean, it's good because you know what happens when some of these kids' parents find out that their kid is using a name that they feel safe and feel like fits them at school.
Yeah, and then it would basically do forced outings.
Yeah. And
also, in addition, ABUSE would be more prevalent in the home for parents that were completely,
It's going to translate into dead children.
Yeah, exactly.
Real quick, something that isn't related to women or children, but indirectly probably. I didn't make a clip of this. I don't know why I didn't clip this out, but they want to take the NIH and CDC, and you know how they're kind of left independently for good reason. So politics doesn't corrupt what the science is trying to produce, which made Trump so upset that he couldn't fire Fauci or anybody at the NIH or CDC. So now those jobs will be able to be fired and they will not be able to give grant money or research to things that the president doesn't like it has to, they're putting government and the president way too much into the CDC, and they want to get rid of pandemic preparedness. They want to gut that entire, because it's not like we just went through a pandemic. Like, let's be in our honest place, okay? You can keep saying that it wasn't that serious, it was a cold, but let's come to Jesus, and we weren't prepared for it. Government was clueless and we're poor leaders. Yeah.
Here's a thought I just had that's kind of fun. This can get a lot dumber, guys, if Trump gets back into power because of Project 2025. He's going to fill it to the brim with yes men. So the next time he goes, hey, I wonder, could we nuke that tornado or nuke that hurricane? He's going to order somebody to fucking do it, and someone's going to do it. It's going to get
Most
real
definitely.
dumb. That's what we're talking about here. Yeah.
head.
And it's not just Trump. If it was Nikki Haley or Chris Christie or, God forbid, DeSantis, who's another episode. I mean, that's the plan. They're going to hand it to any GOP candidate who's running for president and say, run with this, because that's the tool that gives them the red tape and bureaucracy to hold systems of oppression against minorities, against women, against LGBTQIA community, against people who immigrate here looking for a better fucking life or escaping, our burning planet.
EPA is one of the things they're trying to dismantle too.
I studied environmental policy in college, and what I'm seeing is fucking frightening. Like, and I know how to interpret climate data. Like, that's one of the classes I took. And
the situation with the oceans is terrifying.
I'm looking at like some of these fossilized remnants in the sea from the North and South poles are coming up, and as a result, and this is biology, y'all, get it together, there's going to be more diseases.
Yep.
That don't have cures because they
haven't existed for hundreds of millions of years.
Millions of years, exactly. So we don't have the science behind these new ailments that are going to be on our radar. Yeah. And then like it's frightening to think that, because a climate cycle is 30 years, guys, and if you're lucky, you can live to 3 climate cycles. So 30, 60, 90, if you're lucky, right? So like, I'm in my second climatological cycle because I'm 41. So from 0 to 30, that was 1. 31 to however which way, that's another climate cycle. I have seen a significant shift of, I'm more heat sensitive. I have to hydrate more. I have more allergies, and like as a result, some of these diseases that are popping up are from like ancient times.
And we're seeing
people in Russia got sick from anthrax
transfer.
Mm-hmm. True. Anthrax is something to be warranted, like it's a
bacteria in nature. So as Russia unfreezes, any bacteria remnants get reanimated.
100%.
So a lot of dangerous bacteria can regenerate once they're frozen. It doesn't kill it like extreme heat does.
And a lot of these new diseases are antibiotic like proof. Like you can't take an antibiotic for it because you don't know what kind of strain of bacteria it is.
And we've already made so many super bacteria because of they've become antibiotic resistant because of our usage of it over time.
So like,
and we're not vaccinating people, so things that used to were we thought we had conquered are now emerging and killing more and more people as well.
Cases of polio are increasing. Cases of measles are increasing. Cases of chicken pox are like reemerging, and like all these stupid. And I hate to. Fundamentalists need to go to basic parenting classes and a class with the CDC.
And biology classes.
Well, the thing is, you don't have to believe in science. Science believes in you. It's real, and you will suffer from it. Just like gravity. It doesn't matter if I believe in gravity. It knocks me on my ass all the time. Like you don't have to believe in it. We've taught our 5-year-old granddaughter, because she, 5-year-old TV is a lot of magic stuff, and we've got her. She's a total science nerd because she's with us all the time. So now her catchphrase is, "It's not magic, it's science." And I just want to train the some of these fundamentalists that that thing that you think is magic. No, there's a scientific explanation. You might not like it, you might not understand it, but it's real. It's there.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like, it's 2024. How is cognitive dissonance in form of manipulative religions, like, how is that still a thing? We have basic scientific explanations for just about goddamn everything.
That's why the NIH is so important. Like, the NIH is so vitally important to our the way of our life. And I do have to say that, in terms of why things cost the way they do in terms of healthcare, is because we pay on the patents from anywhere from the packaging of the drug to the way that the pill is scored to the way that like it's packaged. Honestly, we pay on those patents, and
that's just going to go up if they keep.
And prices will go up due to the fact that you pay on 5 different patents for one damn drug. For one. I'm just giving an example. It could be 7 different patents for one drug. And then that's why healthcare costs are so goddamn much. And we need to make sure, and this will affect women in so many ways, to get Congress to eliminate payments on patents, because our tax dollars go to fund the NIH.
Yeah.
What does that
No,
say?
there was a law in academic libraries. A lot of times science students need to look up these studies that are paid for through tax dollar funding. And now database publishers cannot charge for publicly funded research.
That's great.
So they can't hide everything. If it's government funded, they can't hide it behind a paywall. They have to let anybody look at the research since it's taxpayer sourced income.
And that's definitely something that Project 2025 and their deregulation kind of stuff would go after, because if it's going to keep somebody rich from making money, we're going to see medical expenses go up if some of these deregulation things happen, because they're
going to see accidents happen more.
Yeah, and
because let's be honest, oh no, I was just going to say, let's be honest, self-regulation is really difficult for corporations to do it, honestly. Mm-hmm. How many times do we have to freaking go through this?
That's why we have that's why we have food inspection agencies, because you would hope that they would keep things clean and neat and tidy and in date.
There's an allowable level of rat hairs and poop in our food and medicine, folks.
And
we don't need to go further backwards on regulation. We need to get tougher on regulations.
Yeah.
Amy brings up a great point, Vix. I mean, with EDS, I spend a lot of time reading med research. Ever since I was diagnosed with hypermobility, like issues, I've become so health anxious that like my doctors are invaluable to me because I need them to calm my brain down. And every like phone visit is free, luckily with Kaiser here in California. But if I go into an office, I pay $40 for my copay, and then for lab tests, it's only $10. If like if this is gutted, then we will seriously have our copays be $500, and it can increase up to tenfold. So it just drives me nuts.
Well, and it varies
Yeah.
so much state by state because, like, I had the flu in January. I have insurance through my government job that I will not mention for fear of losing it, and decent insurance, but I had to pay a copay to go into the clinic, and then I had to do my own nasal swab that I gave to her that they then tested, and then they charged, I don't know what they charged the insurance company, but on top of that, they charged me $150 for them to test the nasal swab that I administered myself to tell me I had the flu.
Good Lord.
Thank you. I could have stayed home and just been sick. I'm so glad I spent my money and time that way.
Right?
And probably
Really
infected
great.
a couple of people when I
And
had to take
out
my
of the
mask on and
house and
off to
stuff,
shove the
yeah.
thing up my nose. Like, come on.
I get that for sure.
It's ridiculous. And, this is a really good point, too. We were talking before the show about EDS and some other, particularly autoimmune diseases, are more common in women. We don't know why. And we've talked on the show before about the lack of medical research on the failure to include women in medical research, because we know that there are a lot of conditions that affect women differently than men. And if they do take some of these controls away from the NIH and the CDC, we're going to see that continue because they don't give an F about us. And so research into autoimmune diseases, which are increasing, and EDS in particular, or anything that specifically has a stronger correlation with gender, it's not going to get the research it needs. We're going to have 80 million different little blue pills to keep a 90-year-old man's penis hard, but we're going to have fuck all for things that are actually going to kill people or hurt
I agree.
people.
Definitely.
It's scary being a woman.
Oh, it's
I've
goddamn
never-
terrifying.
I
terrified.
told my sister lives in New York, so I'm glad that I have family I can flee to should I have to. But I told my sister, you really shouldn't make any long-term plans till after the election. And it really hurt to say that. Like, I never thought I'd say that about my own country. Like, I never thought I would have said that. And
But I'm trying to plan my 20th anniversary trip next year with my husband across the pond, and I'm like, should I stay there? I don't know, but like,
I'm getting my passport renewed, getting my daughter a passport and my husband a passport, and
check your passports, y'all. Get them now.
yeah,
Get 'em
I
now.
I didn't think about it. I normally renew it like, and I'm good, but for some reason it's totally just slipped my mind about renewing it, so I missed it. So now I have to reapply. And
but like it's just it's ridiculous what Project 2025 is, and how many people are completely blissfully unaware of it. And Project 2025 can scare the living shit out of anyone.
Yeah, and it really should.
And it should.
Yeah.
It should
If you're
scare
not a
men.
white, rich-
It should scare women.
Mm-hmm.
And
If you're not
especially
near
men
little
who care
country
about
club,
women.
you're a target.
If you don't
And
have
yeah-
a passport, y'all, get it. Get it now.
and yeah, no, this isn't. And even though the Heritage Foundation is whatever they want to call themselves, a conservative think tank, and technically, no, Trump doesn't have to use Project 2025, but he said he was, and he keeps on pulling lines from it. If you're listening, so like, and they keep referencing that this is meant for the Trump administration because they refer back to his executive orders that should be reinstated. So like, they say the next conservative president, they really like, come on, we all have good critical thinking skills, and anyone who watches Tony's podcast, I'm sure, have critical thinking skills. It doesn't take much to connect of what the real, it doesn't have to explicitly say Trump is going to use this in his administration. It doesn't have to say that. It like it's kind of implied in their language.
It's scary.
The big takeaway from Project 2025 is if you're not one of the people that wrote it, they're coming after you.
That's right.
And I mean, Trump says all the time he wants to suspend the Constitution, which I think the Insurrection Act gives him a lot of latitude in breaking civil liberties. So like, you know,
that's one of the things we didn't talk about is what they're talking about doing with the what they're calling the unelected federal workforce. But the only reason this country works when we transition powers is because of all of the federal employees who have been there nonpartisan for years, who know what the fuck to do. They know who signs the checks, where to get them, where the contracts are, and all that stuff. Like, they're what keeps the mechanism moving. Yeah. And you get rid of all of them, we're fucked. And if you're in the military, your family is not going to get paid. God knows.
And there's no,
they might be trapped wherever they are. You have no clue.
This isn't a good faith reform. Of course, I'm sure the civil service could use some reform and streamlining. I know bureaucracy can be a pain in the ass. I know this. But for the federal government, like the president, as of now, appoints roughly 3,500, 4,000 people to hit the executive branch when he becomes office, inaugurated into office. Yeah. So there's all these people in the civil service who have been there for years that really drive the machine, because think about just the efficiency. Let's just talk about not even the fucked upness of what it does to people's liberties, but it's the efficiency. They have to have somebody there who's there from, administration to administration, because you'd have to train them. You'd have to do a completely different workflow every time. Like, that is so many more employees that you have to vet and like to get into these positions. And it really eliminates any sort of subject specialty. I mean, we see that Project 2025 suggests, not requiring any bachelor degree. So it really means that you can put any asshole in some of these specialized positions, which is not just inefficient for the American people, but it can really hurt national security too. So I don't know how they think that this is even plausible. Like, I'm talking pure people logistics. You should really worry about that way.
Yeah, Amy mentions, even as a fast food manager or any kind of service professional, high turnover will grind you to a halt in no time. And you're talking every 4 years and a complete change to all of those positions. No one's ever going to be able to find anything. Nothing's going to get done.
Yep.
Really quick to comment, the MAGA apparently swatted Fanone's mom's house after that De Niro speech. Like, they seriously have no low. And I'm surprised, like, people, like these law enforcement agencies, like, I'd love to know what they're like, because they have to be like really upset over this trend, because this isn't the first time somebody's been doxxed and swatted. So like, it's just, I just like this. People are just have no, I don't know what they don't have, but it's just, I never thought we'd be in this place that we're in. And guys, we have to absolutely win. This cannot happen that Trump comes back. Like, it cannot happen. Nope. And we really all need to do our part in whatever way you can, wherever you are, within your circle, within your resources. Every little bit helps. And I don't mean to overwhelm people. Little things that you can do, like doing this discussion. I mean, it's not like we have millions of followers, but you guys are watching, and then you can talk to your circles, and it gets spread, even further. So, it's every little bit is getting the message out. So, just do what you can where you can.
Yeah, everybody can do a little bit, and together, all of our effort, we're going to do this.
And it's also a good warning to our fellow countrymen. Like, some people just don't follow politics, as we all know. Some people have no idea what this is. So you need to bring it to their attention just to give them basic info so they can make better choices. I firmly believe no ordinary American like us, just middle class, within the different levels of middle class, everyday people, nobody wants this. And they're too blind to see what, like, make the connection, or maybe just can't read between the lines, or they're, I don't know what it is, but like, you can help them understand.
They choose to be oblivious because it doesn't hurt them until it affects them.
Yeah, and it's so much easier to be about like to not have to care.
Everyday people who just don't pay attention, which is most Americans don't pay attention.
That's true. There are a lot of people working 2-3 jobs that have hobbies, and their kids have hobbies, and they're always soccer, karate, dance class, something.
Yeah, we're very self-absorbed. Americans typically are pretty self-absorbed a lot of the time.
We got a lot of people living in survival mode too. I mean, addiction rates are high as hell. Incarceration rates are high as hell. All kinds of issues, mental health issues through the roof, everything else. And don't forget that studies show that the average American adult reads at a 6th grade level. So when they've got all this, and Project 2025 does some of it in pretty plain speech, but some of it's not. And so if they don't understand it, they take the word for whoever told them, oh no, that's a good thing, instead of actually being like, wait, what does that mean? Like I feel like we kind of need to take the high points and break them down so they are so simple that literally my 5-year-old granddaughter could understand it and be like, no, this means that there's no one putting safeguards in place to protect the environment, or no, this means that they can deny you a job just because they don't like your face, or whatever the case may be.
What it means. This is why it's dangerous.
Yeah, some people just don't, and some people think that they're getting the right information. So it takes a family member, a friend, or just something to break through, and you never know what the final straw might be to break somebody's hold on. What's that?
I'm sorry, to break through to someone.
Yeah, you never know what that final straw might be. So like we need, like, even if somebody is not willing to necessarily listen, they still hear something. And one quick thing as a librarian, we're pretty siloed. I teach information literacy and study disinformation, and even the best of us, even the mighty liberals that we are, we often get siloed, not trying to be, but which is why it's important to kind of know what the other side's saying and doing, even though it's painful, or like there's lots of people who watch it and read it, like people like me, that like I read Project 2025, the whole thing, so y'all don't have to. I can just give you references. So
Legia Miller does a really good breakdown of Project 2025, and I love her because she cusses all the time and she cracks me up. But if you're looking for a very quick and dirty explanation, and she's actually a lawyer, I believe, she gives a good explanation of it. And then there are a lot of other places. I'm seeing it coming up more in the news now, not in the mainstream news, but online, where people are starting to dissect it. So the more we can share those dissections or create our own, the better.
Yeah, I don't know why. Yes, she's lovely. Love her.
Right.
There's a Substack that I can't remember and that's not helpful right now. I'll look it up and disperse it out. But gives really good. She talks about Project 2025 at the micro level. So she'll take like a very specific thing and talk about it. So the school student lunch programs for K-12. She'll just have a Substack about that little thing. So, but she's been writing about it for, probably almost a year now. So there's a lot of content. for
I just
It
follow
says
her.
that you forgot to mention the Library of Democracy has good tools as well.
What is wrong with me? I have a video on the Heritage Foundation and who they are. It's pretty much a 40-minute long documentary. There's a lot of voting information from Ballotpedia and how you can, election information is very overwhelming, and there's a lot. And some states, like my state, purposefully, I don't know that for a fact. Can't tell me otherwise. It's on purpose. They make it confusing, so it makes it harder to find out information. So Ballotpedia combs through a lot of the BS and has really easy to read tutorials, not really tutorial, but guides on, like, you can go to Georgia and it'll have all of Georgia's election information and really easily say, find out who's on your ballot. And then you'll find out who's on your ballot. Through
Yes,
their
as
little
a fellow
library.
librarian, strongly advocate for Ballotpedia and ActiVote, because you put your zip code, they'll help you check your registration to make sure it's up to date. They'll tell you where your polling place is. They will pull up every single elected official you didn't even know you had. They will tell you where they stand. And what I really love about ActiVote is that you answer a bunch of questions about where you stand on issues, and it does this little diagram. It shows you where you are and then shows where your elected officials are. I wasn't where I thought I was going to be at all. And one of the people I thought I didn't agree with very much were actually very close. And it made me go and look into their stuff more. And I realized that the reporting was part of why I didn't think that person was on the same page. So it's
Good
really
for
useful.
you. Yeah. Good for you, because it also helped, point out, some bias in reporting that you weren't previously aware of, which is good because it helps you hold your, your news sources accountable.
Definitely. Well,
It's-
I think we should start winding it down. I gotta get home soon. My husband will be picking me up soon, not because he drives me everywhere. We only have one car, so that's it's very a lot more affordable. If you can swing one car, I recommend it. It's a little inconvenient sometimes, but otherwise, most of the time we don't really have a problem.
All right, I haven't seen any further questions. Someone did ask if Jess Piper did anything on Project 2025, and I am sad to say I do not know. I love Jess, but I haven't been able to keep up with her lately.
I don't think so. But her thing is school vouchers
and school vouchers. Yeah.
So
rural,
very
sure that
rural education heavy.
Yeah.
Well, she's a former public school teacher too, so
got it.
She's very really wants to get school choice halted. So that's her.
If you're looking to get involved locally, and sorry, dudes, you don't get included in this. There's a group called SWEEP. It's suburban women, and but it's not just suburban women. They've extended to rural now. It's also under Red, Wine, and Blue. And they have groups for each state, for more or less, and they do local meetups talking about local issues. They've been going strong and hard on the school boards in particular, and on book challenges and so forth. So they're a good place to look. And I wanted to say a special shout out to all of our Discord dudes that always have our back and are cheerleading like mad. Bless you guys, you are rad.
I'm not good at
you
this.
guys
So much. You're always the
do this
first
one.
to show up and love us up.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, I love you.
The puppy disagrees though. And our
He's
ladies, of
just a
course, our
Yorkie.
ladies,
He
but-
can't have.
It was a
Sorry.
pleasure doing this one with you.
Yeah, we'll have to have you again. It was fun.
Yeah.
If you need a guest host, let me know. I'm available.
Absolutely.
Most days.
Yeah, and we will be having more guest hosts because we'll have conflicts and float in and out, or there'll be somebody that's really perfect for that topic. And, it would have been great to have had a guest host on the birthing one because I have not done that. So to have someone that actually was a breeder to participate in that conversation would have been nice. But
You were a great moderator for our birth horror stories. We
My
appreciate you being
middle
there.
child library personality popping through. And if you guys think of any topics you would like us to talk about, reach out to any one of us,
Yes.
or hit it in the chat. Tell Derek, he'll tell me.
And if you can all like the page so it starts getting out our message too, that would be
and
helpful.
share this with other people that you know that may be interested. Maybe one of the other episodes is more appropriate for that person, or maybe this one about Project 2025, or maybe we can cut a clip. There was a Skip mentioned a specific part that would be a really good clip. Maybe we can get one of our clippy friends to do that for us to make something that's easily shareable and short.
On it. Look at you. Alrighty, guys. We're already like a half hour over.
Yeah. So thanks for listening and tuning in. We'll talk to you on the Discord and see you next week.
See you at the next meeting. Bye.